going to the lake. This Tibetan word, Deleg, is actually a very, very powerful word with very good meaning. Deva sedigi ngudolha da mi komo thoba shos. Legba sedi tharwa da thamji chimbe komo thoba sho lagyor namji gune chena. Chasa ngad techi dileg chi delab di kowa hiuj do ha ko na. Peche du so gang yor om deleg si churji si do. So this word deleg is a very, it could have so many meanings, but one which is explained in one of Tsongkhapa's book is De Leg. May you have well-being and goodness. So may you have well-being means may you achieve a good human rebirth or birth of a God, celestial being. May you have goodness means may you achieve liberation and enlightenment. Then of course superficially, ordinarily, meaning may you be physically healthy, mentally healthy, see. So that's the thing, you see. We all want health. We all want wealth. We all want health, not only physical health, but also mental health. Therefore, I like this Tibetan word, Tudin. Tuba the things. Matuba the Mates took masas. Tuba means Tudin, the Tibetan term for health is Tudin. Tu means something that is suitable to you. Ten means use, rely upon those which is suitable, which is supportive. So then, as I was saying, of course, if you eat poison, it is not suitable. Take medicine, it's suitable, you see. So similarly, in terms of Buddhist practice also, it's basically saying the same thing. We need not only physical health, but mental health. And mental health is much, much more important than physical health. In the sense that at the end of the day, it is the mind which controls us. And if your mind is disturbed, it's very difficult to get good physical health. If your mind is healthy, your perspective is good, then you will do the right thing. So this, when we study teachings of the Buddha and so forth, we must use our common sense. So now anger, is it suitable? How suitable, how appropriate anger is, for example. Do some experiment, not just follow what the Buddha said, just do some experiment. And I always tell people, there's nobody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying, today I will get angry. Nobody does have that motivation. That means they have some idea that anger is not good. But they do get angry, but having got angry, having fought with somebody, and then after that there's nobody who says, I was really angry today, I fought with somebody, therefore I really enjoyed the day. As clear as that. As clear as that. It's only because of our strong habituation with these negative emotions. Despite our not wanting to do it, we keep on doing it, just like a drunkard, Changji nahira, chikwa chikya. Chang matung sing sing. There's a kuch terin chik tung chuk. Sanyi tagare, nani nalina sadu yore, yang jo des tung chuk, you see. Like people who are habitual drinkers, they're so habituated, their brain asks us to bring the drink. So they keep on drinking, Doesn't matter, they have. These days much better actually, a lot of improvement in Dharamsala. Earlier it was a common sight of people who engage in excessive drinking, they were just lying by the side of the road, So like that. So it's this bad habit. So you need to be a little bit strong. You need to work a little bit harder. It will not come like that, You need to work a little bit hard, make some determination. Okay, from such and such date, from the birthday of His Holiness Dalai Lama, from Chungkur Thujin, I will stop doing this bad habit. You need to make a promise. That is the purpose of attending Kala Chakra and things like that, The big idea behind Kala Chakra. So many people have received the Kala Chakra initiation, thinking that I don't have to do anything, the Lama will give me the initiation, empowerment, boom, everything will be transformed, That doesn't happen. But at least there are many who make a commitment saying, after attending this Kala Chakra, I will not drink, I will not smoke, things like that. So we need to take some decision. Rangi posu simbe gone tuji hiza machuk washi goes doa. You need to have some kind of decisiveness and make some decision as far as these important issues are concerned. Otherwise, it will never come. If you keep on postponing these practices, saying not today but tomorrow, then tomorrow comes not today, next year, keep on postponing, then the day will come when you are lying on your deathbed. Then the only thing you will have is that you are lying on the deathbed extremely sick and lamenting and shouting, So don't think, these are difficult practices. What these teachings are saying is absolutely common sense teachings, true to the nature, the law of nature teachings. Even in ordinary day-to-day life, we all know that unless you work a little bit hard, you will not pass in your exam. If you don't pass, you will not get a job. It's very easy to understand, as simple as that. So for getting something, you need to work a little bit harder, you see. So with these spiritual practices also, you need to devote some time in your life. Don't just keep on postponing, You attend his holiness teaching or somebody's teaching, then make a decision that from tomorrow onwards, I will dedicate 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the morning, in the evening, whatever, or Sunday, on holy days, whatever, to start with. Then gradually prolong that time a little bit. Then a time will come when nobody can stop you in terms of your spiritual practice. It will come automatically, because then you start knowing the meaning of it. You will see the benefit of it. So in a positive sense, get addicted to dharma practice. Something like that. Get habituated is the right word, actually. So this is very important. Otherwise, all this will become a ritual, And we are very fond of ritual, If somebody is giving initiation, you go there, rush. So there is a ceremony, everybody goes there rushing, The ceremonial things, we are very fond of doing that. And these ceremonial things will not help us. Because what helps us is right mental perspective, right mental attitude. If your way of seeing things, when a difficult situation arises, then at that time you should have that mental capacity to see that in its proper perspective, without being too sensitive, without developing too much fear. That will help you. That's the real Tibetan culture. The real culture should be, as far as I am concerned, the real culture should be their culture, which will help you when you are in trouble, when you are suffering, when your family members are dying or whatever, when you are in big difficulty, then it will help you. And believe me, Tibetans have been helped by Buddhism in that sense. Even after remaining in exile, we are able to achieve so many things. Even after in exile, we look like as if we are not in exile. We are always smiling, happy, because of Buddhism. We need to understand this. Otherwise, many people start thinking, Buddhism, what? All we need is janku, dollar. All we need is money. Of course, you need money. But to say that all you need is money and not those other things is absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. So, with all these different kinds of Tibetan aspects of Tibetan culture, the most important, heart, is education. In our case, Buddhist education, because in the past we hardly have any other form of education, and in today we have access to many types of education, but most of these educations are focusing towards material accumulation. So therefore, that Tibetan education that comes from Buddhism is the most important aspect of our Tibetan culture, because at the time when you will get some problem, some difficulty, if you have that knowledge, that understanding, it will help you. And I met several people who told me that when the husband died or a wife died, living a very good family, then some of them told me, Geshe-la, if I had not attended the Buddhist teachings, if I didn't have a little bit of understanding, I could have committed suicide. People told me, you see. And because of that understanding, it saved them. That's what I'm saying. Like, for example, like eating pork, it's also Tibetan culture. Of course, it's important. It's good for your health, But when you are suffering a tragedy, big problem, then can you say, oh, you have big problem, eat pork? The thing marwa. Yamana khabro chik thab da selam tandu khungdo say nyanga yoro. Me phage kange chmoy do tandu he thablam na khungdo say nyanga yoro. So I'm not looking down upon any aspects of Tibetan culture, but all I'm saying is, of course, these external expressions in different forms are needed to also. And in fact, if you look carefully, all the different aspects of Tibetan culture, they are all based on the Buddha's teaching. Compassion, love, whether it's Dögar, whether it's, Darikpa, Sorikpa, Sovarikpa, Nangdonrikpa, Semarikpa, Sama, everything is oriented towards benefiting others. So it's really important to understand Buddhism in this way, that at the end of the day, or sooner or later, you are going to experience some difficulty, some problem. So at that time, if you have this more holistic, wider, realistic perspective, a perspective in harmony with the law of nature, in harmony with the way things are, then you will not be shaken easily. Even if the whole world is in big problem, you will be able to help them, but you yourself will not be shaken up. You see? That's important. Like His Holiness, look at His Holiness Dalai Lama. He used to hear all the sad tragedy, sad stories of tragedy, killing, It's like parent, everybody bring their sorrow, difficulty, Don't think that His Holiness is relaxing and he's enjoying, And when so many of these people go to there, not only Tibetans, all these people who go there, they come with their problems and difficulties. And he has to listen to all of them, imagine. But he is able to console all of them. But still his own mind doesn't get disturbed. And he always says, I do my best. I do those things which I can do, I should do, I do that. Then if there is something that I cannot do, I don't worry about that, I don't regret about it. I get a nice peaceful sleep, you see. So my blood pressure is okay, like baby blood pressure, I'm healthy. That's the way. And that troubles the enemy. Despite our tormenting him, harassing him, calling all the bad names, still this Dalai Lama is flourishing. How come, And then they get anxiety, It's not His Holiness's intention to make them worry, but naturally it will be the product, you see. So that's why they are compelled to say when His Holiness is healthy, then they make an announcement in China saying that, oh, His Holiness is now sick, he is suffering from cancer. They said this many times. When he is really sick, sometimes he is hospitalized. They say, no, telling like he is very healthy, They say things like that. So what I'm saying is, okay, don't worry about what they say. But the important thing is, you see, do your best. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Do those things which is really useful for you, useful for your family, useful for the nation, as much as you can. Then after that, there are things that you can't control, you can't achieve, so don't worry. You've done your best, nothing to regret. Regret will be there if you don't do those things which you can do, That's the problem. There are so many opportunities, so many things we can do, we don't do. But then like we complaining, this is not happening, this is not happening, then saying all the bad things, it doesn't help. That's not the way. I mean, look at the enemies, the animals, if you see, I'm sure you all have television set in your room. So watch the animal behavior, like the deers or lions or other animals, when they fight, then when one of them loses or wounded, then normally they'll retire, run away in a different place. Then they do training, They strengthen their body, they jump from here, from there, they also do some training, then come back to fight. Even animals do like that, you see. So therefore, if your aim is to, correct the wrongdoing, dawo silnen de bai karse. There's a beautiful verse by Nagarjuna. That means basically that verse says, if you want to overpower the enemy, vanquish the enemy, you should strengthen yourself in terms of education, in terms of wealth. Naturally, the enemy will come to the negotiation table. If you yourself is not very strong, and then you talk about, okay, let us have negotiation dialogue, we are ready. They'll never do that. Because they think, what I'm going to get from them. They are not strong enough to trouble me, worry me, So that's the thing, see. Yeah, dawo silnön de baye danye yönden ji töji. Nösem ngembe chishik cha thene dawno dalami silawre. Dawo silnön de baye da dikhapte cha na silnön meba sogo do na soso yönden yarpar gures. Danye yönden ji töji. Yönden yarpar gur ma do yönden ma jama chene phajo dil samban nakbo chene nösem ngembe chishik cha karpen dogres. Nösem ngemba chene thene dawno dalami. Penang tu den som kung to hiu sa jemi kor dong sa den la boxing hiu aje hiu ngar ga chena ta ngam tu dong jong den kung to san jemi bom bu so coffee tong cha tong lo nyen te chi phyan de de ji ra phage de no mu do a dire ta cha nang cho se de yak po chen go chen tu tu se go ra no mu do a cha so so no do a de kung to sa dong jong ro ma je ba cha ro kung to san. So Nagarjuna, in this beautiful verse he says, if you want to overpower the enemy, you should abreast yourself with knowledge, with education. Ill will, harmful intention towards the enemy is of no use, because this will harm you, not the enemy. So I was telling them, like, for example, if we all get very angry with the wrongdoings by the Chinese leaders and things like that, then we, get all angry, bang the table and things like that, We are upset, we are disturbed, we are suffering here. But the Chinese leaders maybe enjoying a nice cup of tea and coffee and watching a movie, you see. It doesn't harm others. So even if you want to get those things that you want, you need to strengthen yourself in terms of education, in terms of wealth. So that is the thing we need to focus. So therefore, one that really obstructs in achieving all this is the afflictive emotions inside. Nang liye be nyomo mo tesores. Right? Ta kawale sangado. Yeah, verse number 25, right? Verse number 25. So, while explaining a little bit about verse number 5, I've explained to you earlier that if you, without hesitation, if you keep on cultivating these negative afflictive emotions, then you will be born in a negative state of existence. Ngensung ngendo chigres labi di hinang sawo chemagi yon di chi di men me che de marda kanje dug dogre se orda dug dogro wada leka dugja shukchembo jena dugja shukchembo nyangro wada de se gor ngendo se na khudewo labna rwa tima do ya de samlo ma ko na ngensong se phage je yo debe soro je ni delen dogre labna ya yi chig marwa lamsa. So then if my body blazes for a long time, for example, if you are born in a hot hell, and if your body is burnt for a long time in the unbearable flames of hell, inevitably my mind will be tormented, of course, by the fires of unendurable remorse. So right now we are not able to undergo even a small minor hardship. Even the bite of a mosquito we are not able to tolerate. So now imagine, will you be able to tolerate such a situation if you are cooked alive, if you are burnt alive? I mean, even if there is no like physical realm, but still because of your own doing, there will be hell in your mind. As I said yesterday, that sometimes when you encounter great difficulty, then you say, I am now in hell these days, you see. It will happen. It will happen. It is your mind. Your mind creates heaven, your mind creates hell. When your mind is enjoying, then even 1 year goes like this. You are happy, you know. The day goes like this. When you are suffering, even 1 minute, even 1 hour, even 1 minute is very long. You keep on watching, you know. Like the first 1 hour of my talk, maybe okay. But if I get very enthusiastic saying that, oh, Dharma practice is so important, you need to spend some time, so today we are going to sit here for 10 hours, you know. Then forget about 10 hours. When we finish around 2 hours, then everybody will be like that, you know. Then you will feel that the time is now long, very long, you see. Oh, still, you know, so the watch is hardly moving then. It looks like that, you see. So that clearly shows it's the state of your mind. How is the state of your mind? So therefore, if we continue to work for other people, do something constructive, you know, then you will live longer, you will be healthier. Recently, during His Holiness' visit to Australia, and His Holiness in fact said, this is something that I heard for the first time. Some, you know, people who are serving very sick and poor people, you know, things like that. And that person who was helping, he said that since I've, you know, volunteered and helped so many sick people, I become healthier. And I know some people who, when they were working as a government official, working very hard, very healthy, as soon as they retired, their physical immediately goes down. So many government officials here, so you find it out how far this is true. It looks like that, you know. There is an element of truth there. So that means when your mind is lazy, your body is lazy, you know, it immediately starts declining. But when your mind is, you know, engaged doing something, and physically you are doing something, you know, it keeps you healthy. That's important, you see. So don't be lazy in order to get rid of these afflictive emotions. So otherwise you will suffer. This is what the text is saying. Verse number 26. Now, having found this precious human life, if you don't make a move, if you don't make an attempt to reduce these afflictive emotions, then it's similar like as if you have no mind. Having found by some coincidence, I mean, it's of course not coincidence, you know. I wish human life is found through a coincidence, you know. But this is almost like a sarcastic remark, you know. He's basically saying it's so difficult to get. So like coincidence you got it. That's what he means. Otherwise, of course, in order to get human life, you need to have accumulated a lot of positive causes and conditions. So you don't get anything by coincidence. So having found by some coincidence this beneficial state of a human rebirth, human life, that is so hard to find, if now, having found this precious human life, and because of that we are able to discriminate, that means judge what is right, what is wrong, what is good for you, what is good for others, what is good in the long run, what is good in the short term. When you have this capacity to judge, to discriminate, But still, if you don't use this great human wisdom and faculty, and don't judge and select the good ones, don't judge and abandon the bad ones, and remain idle, then you are similar like having no mind. Then what is the use of your mind? What is the use of your big head? This is what he is saying. If now, while able to discriminate, I once again am led into the hell, without making any attempt. You have been in the hell many times. But again, if you remain as if you have no mind, no judgment power, and do not engage in this positive practice, and if you once again led into the hell, then it's really like you have no mind. Then you are not a human being in the true sense of the term. Then, as though I were hypnotized by a spell, I shall reduce this mind to nothing. Even I do not know what is causing me confusion, what is there dwelling inside me. So that means then now, because if you are not moving, then sometimes you need to scold yourself. This stupid fellow, you are not making a move, you are not doing any practice, you are not trying to remove the negative emotions. Are you hypnotized? It's true, we remain like hypnotized, you see. The things we do, mostly not so important things, we while our time going up, going down, we are really like to some extent hypnotized. That's what he's saying. Then as though I were hypnotized by a magic spell. So if you remain in that way, then you will reduce this mind to nothing. The mind will have no role. It can do nothing. It's equal to having no mind. You are like hypnotized because you do not know what is causing you confused. You have no idea what is it that is causing you suffering, causing you problem. So you are like under a magic spell. Even I do not know what is causing me confusion. So that's why the first thing that the Buddha said was, look, you are suffering. After his enlightenment, after his great enlightenment, the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on the Four Noble Truths, where he was saying, look, you are suffering. And look, we all do not want suffering. So don't sit there like a hypnotized person. Get up and go and see what are the causes of those sufferings. If there are no causes for the sufferings, then okay, we have to suffer, there's nothing we can do. But look, there is a cause for the suffering. The cause is afflictive emotions, the cause is ignorance. So since there is a cause of these sufferings, don't just sit there complaining. Go and get rid of these causes of suffering. Reduce afflictive emotion, reduce ignorance, you will be happier. And likewise, you want happiness. And indeed, you want long-lasting, the most reliable happiness. And again here, it's not enough just to say, I want to be happy, I want to get peace. There is a cause for peace. There is a condition for peace. So recognize those causes and conditions and cultivate them, you will be happy. It will come automatically. Give me a due condition, grace. If you don't cook, what will you eat? If you say, I'm going to enjoy really nice food, and keep on lying, without even getting up, chopping the vegetables and not cooking, how will you get a good food? So even to get a good, delicious meal, you have to get up and work a little bit, you see. Then you get a good food. You want a big fruit, nice result, but doing nothing, how will you get that nice fruit? How will you get your freedom? How will you get your independence? If you don't do, you see. Do you think it's only His Holiness Dalai Lama? Few officials can do that? No. All of us have to do in our own way. Then you will get. And that also, Niri Sejam Mesa, Sundu some Lamatani, Kebe Compound, Shasum Lose, Jimmy Ingwesher, Tendatilla, Chiam Minjung, Sumba Chu Jundu Tenshi, Jekundang Suwana. And with regard to doing also, for example, in the case of spiritual practice, for the first few days when you start hearing the teaching, you get so excited that you even postpone your food. But the practice is so short-lived that after 3 days, everything has been forgotten. And which will happen? from after tomorrow. I'm joking. Shaksum learns the jeme, jane, any English here, sir. Then everything is forgotten, then you will be distracted. So next, the major big sin is to remain hypnotized and to get distracted here, there, going up, going down. Because everybody is going up, I go up. Because everybody is going down, I go down, That's the way. For such a person, he will get nothing. Therefore, you should persevere, you should make effort, just like a running stream. Look at the running stream. The running streams will never say that it is day, therefore I will run, now it is night, I will sleep. So like running stream, even if you are unable to practice 24 hours, but it basically means that you should continue the practice. Wow. So if you don't do this, then if you remain confused, not knowing the cause of the problem, cause of happiness, keep on complaining, you will get nothing. So you are so shocked and surprised to yourself that you are not moving, you are not doing anything. So therefore now you are deriding yourself, asking yourself, what is there dwelling inside me? Is there a ghost that is obstructing me to all this? Not engaging in practice, engaging in accumulating negative emotions. What is it that is there inside me? Of course, what is there inside you is self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping. The worst enemies, the ringleader of all the negative emotions are self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping mind. Now these two ringleaders, the bosses of negative emotions, they are already there. They have already captured your headquarters of the mind. So they already captured your headquarters of the mind, and because we have never challenged, meaning we have never done any spiritual practice, or the spiritual practice that we do are not strong enough, not continuous enough, so it's not harming them, bothering them. So they have self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping. They are relaxing in the headquarters of our mind and giving orders. Anger, you go and destroy him. Jealousy, you go and destroy him. Attachment, you go and destroy him. So they are all actively working. Now, ordinarily speaking, if the capital of a country is captured by the enemy, then this means more or less the country is lost. So we are more or less lost. Already self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude are there in our mind, but we even don't know who is there in our mind. That's the problem. So doing Dharma practice primarily means now you need to keep a watchful eye and see who is coming, who is going in your mind. We are very careful in terms of our room or house, who is coming, who is going. We also put a doorbell, or something, and see from a, hole, to make sure that nothing, unwanted, coming. So you're very sure. But when it comes to who is visiting your mind, there's no lock. The door is open 24 hours. Anger is coming. Okay, my anger, good. Jealousy is coming. Oh, my jealousy, go, okay. Attachment is coming. My attachment, okay. Self-cherishing attitude, my self-cherishing attitude, okay. Self-grasping, my self-grasping attitude, okay. So let all these afflictive emotions coming, doing nothing. So now Dharma practice means we need to now stop this. Now if anger is coming, you need to say, Mr. Anger, I know who you are. Long at last I know who you are. Earlier I did not have Dharma knowledge, nobody taught me, so I thought my anger was good. Now I learned from the teacher, from the Dharma text, how destructive your anger is. So gone are the days when you destroyed me. Just like you talk to an enemy, personify that negative emotion. Gone are the days when you have, entered my mind and destroyed me at your whim. Now there's no room for you. Please get lost. No room for you. Next day attachment will be coming, say the same thing. Hatred will be coming, say the same thing. And when love and loving kindness and compassion is coming, then I'm really sorry. I now learned that you're really so important, you're so good, but earlier I did not recognize, so I did not, acknowledge your presence, please come, have a nice cup of tea, That's called Dharma practice. That basically means changing your mind. Dharma is in a change your mind from the negative to the positive. If you're doing that, you're a good Dharma practitioner. If you're not doing that, doesn't matter that you have the first degree Geshe, wearing monk's robe, doesn't really matter. You're not good Dharma practitioner. So we need to understand this. The great Kadamba masters used to say that I have only one job to do. That only one job is I will hold the spear of the positive counterforce against the negative emotions and stand guard of my mind. When the negative emotions come, I use my spear and drive them away. I remain alert. When they are not coming, then I can relax. I sip a nice cup of tea. And on other occasions, some of the Kadamba masters, they say, even if these negative emotions are so strong, much stronger than me, they throw me down on the floor. Their heavy body is on me. There's hardly anything I can do, but the only thing I can do is give a scratch, Even then, I will do that scratching. Even if it is the last resort, I'll give that scratching, and I will not submit myself to the dictates of these negative emotions. They personify these negative emotions. So the only thing is, you need to make a move, you need to make a start. Based on your own personal experience, how anger is bad, how attachment is bad. You have already enough experience. So you hardly need anybody to convince you this point, you see. But what we are reading is a reminder. So what is important, next time you really read a little bit and think. Like for example, in the case of this text, Shantideva's Bodhisattva, when Tibet was free, I heard there were more than 100 different commentaries on this classical text. It's such a precious text. Around 100 commentaries. Now even in exile, in my library itself, there are more than 20 commentaries. For example, this is one commentary of their text, So we are lucky, it's in Tibetan. Our foreign friends, they are dying to read all this. Some of them, even in terms of age, maybe a little bit high, but still they are coming here reading ka, kha, ga, you see. And whereas we already have enough knowledge, but still we are not making much effort, which is a tragedy actually, really. So you can easily, with that kind of delight in your mind, if you start reading, you will understand. So don't say they are difficult, Everything is difficult right in the beginning, but everything becomes easy with effort. So that's important. Because it's not only you, because you have these big responsibilities of carrying this culture to the next generation. If you yourself remain stupid and don't know anything, what is it that you are going to give to the younger generation? To your children, It's not enough that you give food and nice clothing to your children and none of these good values. So we have a big responsibility, particularly when we think about what is happening in Tibet. We have a big responsibility. So then from verse number 28, he starts explaining about how bad these negative emotions are. Now negative emotion, nyomong. Negative emotions are those emotions which when arises in your mind, makes your mind disturbed and agitated. So it's very clear, you don't want to remain agitated, disturbed and turbulent, and that is what these afflictive emotions do. When negative emotions arise, your mind gets thoroughly disturbed, number one. Now I am highlighting some of the destructive activities of the afflictive emotions. When afflictive emotions arise, it makes your mind completely disturbed. When negative emotions arise, it goes to a wrong object, not to a right object. It will lead you to a wrong direction. When negative emotions arise, your previous bad imprints and habits, they become strengthened. We already have bad habits, but that habit gets worse with the development of new afflictive emotions. These negative emotions also collude with other negative emotions and make them stronger. Negative emotions harm you. Negative emotions harm others. Great harm, not small harm, great harm. Negative emotions harm you in this life and harms you in the future lives. Negative emotions produce all kinds of sufferings. Negative emotions make you experience unhappiness. Negative emotions make you take negative rebirth. Negative emotions take you further away from freedom, from liberation. Negative emotions contribute towards degeneration and declining of your positive deeds, good works. And even while you are born in the samsara, your mind will be filled with sadness, unhappiness, lack of joy, fear, discouragement, and bad name. And when you engage in such negative ways of life, then those who guard the Buddha's teaching, who favor virtuous practices, they will also look down upon you. You will be displeased. And then finally when you die, you will die with great sadness and regret. So these are some of there are so many, you can't even count, so many just bad things that happens with negative emotions. So verse number 28 is basically saying you should be especially careful by thinking about the destructiveness of these negative emotions. So therefore he is talking about the faults of these negative emotions, as I have already explained. So in this verse it says, although enemies such as hatred, so basically it means negative emotions which are our enemies, for example hatred and craving, have neither any arms nor any legs. Negative emotions don't have arms to pick up a stone and throw on your head. They don't also have legs to chase after you and harm you. They don't have these things as we have with an external physical enemy. And negative emotions by themselves are neither courageous nor wise. They don't have any wisdom. Then how come that you are enslaved by such stupid, narrow-minded negative emotions? Again, when you think from this way, you will be ashamed saying that I'm even more stupid than these stupid negative emotions, because these stupid negative emotions are able to cheat me, deceive me. Negative emotions have a very narrow mind. They don't have wider perspective. For example, when you get angry, you need only one target. This person, this is the one who made this problem. You need just one small target. So kill this person. When you develop compassion, it has a wider perspective. How nice if all sentient beings are without suffering. So that's the difference, So therefore, when these negative emotions arise, it is constricting and restricting and suffocating. And are neither courageous nor wise. How have I, like a slave, been used by them? Like a slave. We are slave of our mind. Our mind is predominantly stupid, negative, therefore we become slave to the negative emotions. So now therefore that what I was saying was, now just as you shut the door to anger, jealousy, hatred and so forth, and more importantly now you need to dethrone the self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping, who are the bosses of the negative emotions. New election must be held now. Two parties are fighting. The party of positive emotions and the party of negative emotions. Until now, the party of negative emotions got probably a landslide majority. So they have captured the headquarters. Now you have to somehow campaign and strengthen the side of the positive party and dethrone the self-cherishing attitude and replace it by bodhicitta. And dethrone the self-grasping attitude and replace it by wisdom, understanding, emptiness. So that campaign, that process of electing the positive emotions is called Dharma practice. Okay? Verse number 29. Despite these negative emotions doing so many bad things to you, but still if you tolerate and be patient, then that is called wrong patience. So don't think that even if the negative emotions are harming me, I must be patient, because the Buddha said practice patience, If you do that kind of practice of patience, that is called misplaced patience, wrong patience. Nyingji kholo, sepa kholo mangpo yorda, be careful. Like for example, if somebody is undergoing a lot of hardship doing Dharma practice, doing a lot of 100,000 prostrations, things like that, then if you go there and say, Nyingje, kali hiu jao da nyingje kholo se di. Sozu tizu tola dan chamde khadang ro deo hama oje, phagi mi chuyo tonda kali jao dili nyingje lao, dili nyingje kholo se. See, nyingje kholo se. Misplaced compassion means that when you see somebody doing a very rigorous Dharma practice, doing 100,000 prostrations or whatever, and you who is doing nothing sees this fellow and says, Nyingje, how pity, he's undergoing so much hardship. Actually, you are the object of pity, because you are doing nothing, you are just with your mouth wide open, you are looking hither and thither, And so that is called wrong compassion, misplaced compassion. So similarly, there is misplaced or wrong patience, practice of patience. If somebody harms you, be patient. But when negative emotions are harming you, still if you remain patient, that is called wrong patience. So that's what is explained in the next verse. For while they dwell within my mind, number one, they are dwelling within your mind. Number two, not only they are within your mind, but they are treating you as they please. At their pleasure, they are harming you. You are not reacting, you are not reacting, you are not responding, you don't have any positive counter forces. So at their pleasure, they are harming you. Yet I patiently endure them without any anger. But this is an inappropriate and shameful time of patience. So this is wrong patience. Because if you remain in that way, then the harms you will get will be tremendous. Should even all the gods and demigods rise up against me as my enemies, they could not lead nor place me in the roaring fires of deepest hell. As I said earlier, that there is nobody who will catch hold of your hand and throw you into heaven. There is nobody who will catch hold of your leg and drag you into hell. Your happiness and your suffering is in your hand, as I said already. So similarly, here also it is saying that even if the gods and demigods and all conceivable people rise against you as your enemy, the maximum they can do is physically kill you. But none of them have these sentient beings have power to throw you into the hell. But these negative emotions, they have the power to throw you into the hell, unless you be very careful, unless you develop the positive counter forces. How powerful these negative emotions are. Yet the mighty foe, the negative emotions, these disturbing conceptions, in a moment can cast me amidst those flames of the hell, which when you meet with the flames of the hell, will cause not even the ashes of the king of mountain to remain. That means they will completely, just like probably to you, I told you last time, I visited this Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those places. So when the bombs were thrown, the heat of the radiation just melts the person. There were some areas where they say that the students were, school children were going to school, and then when the bombs were thrown, the kids just melted, and all you can see is just small kind of shadow. Nothing, completely disappears and melts. So he is saying something like this here. They are so powerful. This fire of the hell, that they will turn into ashes even the king of mountains. And then in terms of how much they are harming, you see, all other enemies, physical enemies, they don't incapable, means that they don't have the capacity of remaining for such a length of time. For example, take the example of Mao Zedong. If we say Mao Zedong is our enemy, he is no more now. So there is no enemy that lasts so long like the negative emotions. However horrible they are, one day they will be killed by their own people, one day they die, things like that, the physical enemy. But the negative emotions, they are not outside, they are within you. Unless you do something to remove them, they will continue to stay. Negative emotions have been there with us in the past, in many lives. It is still with us, and it will continue. Unless you make a move and try to remove them. All other enemies are incapable of remaining for such a length of time as can my disturbing conceptions. These disturbing conceptions or negative emotions are the enduring enemy, long-lasting enemy, has neither beginning nor end. We do not know when they started residing in our mind and how long they will continue. We have no idea. Likewise, in the case of external enemy, even if they are very destructive and nasty, but if you tell them that, okay, spare my life, I will do whatever you do, and if you serve them, be nice, then gradually they will also change, they will also be nice to you. But in the case of the negative emotions, the more you be nice, the more they will destroy you. Be nice with anger, there will be more anger. Be nice with attachment, there will be more attachment. Attachment, for example, in one of the texts it says, attachment, developing desire and attachment is like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the more you become thirsty. Likewise, anger. Some people say, oh, it's better to express anger. In terms of Western psychology also they say, it's better to express the anger. But I don't think so. Sometimes, yes, if you don't have hatred, okay, express it, then finish. But even if you don't express anger, so long as you don't maintain hatred, ill will, then even if you don't express anger, it will not last long. That's my understanding. And the advantage with that kind of not expressing anger is it will not upset other people. And you will also not suffer if you don't maintain ill will and hatred. Okay? Because if you continue to do these things, then you get addicted to it. So that's what is said in the next verse. If I agreeably honor and entrust myself to others, other human beings, if I agreeably honor them and trust them to others, they will also bring me benefit and happiness. They will also help me. But if I entrust myself to these afflictive emotions, these disturbing conceptions, in the future they will bring only misery and harm. It's interesting, There's only one work, there's only one job for the negative emotions, no other work. In the case of other sentient beings like enemy. They may be very bad to you, but there is a purpose for them at least. The purpose may be wrong or right, but they have a purpose of doing that. But in the case of these negative emotions, they have no other purpose except ruining you. But if I entrust myself to these disturbing conceptions, in the future they will bring only misery and harm, because that is their only job. Next, verse number 34 is saying, the more you associate with these negative emotions, the more you will be deprived of happiness and peace. Just like associating with a very bad person. The more you associate with a bad person, the more you will suffer. The more you will associate and accompany a good person, the more you will be happier. So in the case of these negative emotions, while in cyclic existence, how can I be joyful and unafraid? Because you are under the control of afflictive emotions. So you cannot be joyful, because you are associating with the negative emotions. So how can you remain fearless? If in my heart I readily prepare a place for this incessant enemy of long duration, because you are so weak that you have given a place in your heart, in your head, for the negative emotions, as I said already. And they brought all their belongings and they built their nest there, sitting there. How can you be happy? Yungudu asusu magaji chungna pe kibu me hiu chagdo. Oh, tati samlo tang. Khungdo den doja dojo na yuri yagi de diyo na. It's very, very wonderful example for me. I was telling them, like, imagine a real person who is your sworn enemy, but somehow he is now sitting, sharing your room, you will not be happy. So likewise, this negative emotions like anger and jealousy, they are sharing your mind. Not only that, they are in the headquarters of your mind. So how can you be happy? While in cyclic existence, how can I be joyful and unafraid if in my heart I already prepared a place for these negative emotions? These negative emotions which are ceaseless, incessant means they are ceaseless. They never come to an end by itself. And they are enemy of long duration. From beginningless time, these negative emotions have harmed you, therefore they are your enemy. And these negative emotions are the only cause, the sole cause for the increase of all the harms, all that harms me. So I stop here. Do you have one or two questions? One or two questions? Yeah, please.
My question is, at any field, whether it is modern education or traditional education, we can apply the threefold practice of hearing, contemplation, and meditation.
Yeah.
So, especially in Buddhism, it is very essential to have these three qualities together. But regarding to hearing, we have much problem because we have a lot of opportunity to attend His Holiness teaching, teaching, and other scholar talks.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of library facility and other things.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really lacking and stuck in the second two parts.
Exactly.
Contemplation and meditation.
Yeah.
So actually, Geshe Lhakdor already explained a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But I really keen to practice these two parts. So I beseech you to kindly give some instruction and tips how to practice these two paths with examples. Because day before yesterday, Geshe Lhakdor gave me a very wonderful example of stingy Geshe Lhakdor.
Yeah.
The Geshe Lhakdor who do not want to give anything to others.
Yes.
So before he start the actual practice of the generosity, he picks something and then give right to that. So this sort of example is very, very effective and beneficial to us if you give some examples.
So he is actually expecting push button enlightenment. No, like as I said, I'll share you my experience. Before I was translator to His Holiness, I used to attend the teaching. Then I had time, When I was translator, I didn't have much time. I was just hearing here and then saying, translating. I'm not sure what I'm translating, So much pressure. But before I was translating, I used to take note, listen to his teaching carefully, and I get so inspired and moved, then I think, I will definitely do something now. Definitely start practicing. You know how long that inspiration lasts? Until to the door of the temple. I'm telling you, this is something that you all experience. When I reach to the door, teaching finishes, then going out, reach near the door, and join with all other people pushing and pulling. It's almost like saying, welcome back to the familiar world, Forget about these big teachings, enjoy, kind of. You completely get carried away by that ordinariness. That's the difficulty. So therefore you need to have, number one, you need to have little bit planning and decision. Planning. In your calendar you put something, okay, from this date onwards, I will spend this much time, whatever amount you can afford. At least dedicate some portion of your time that I'll start reading this text. If I do not understand, there are so many geshes here, I will not, be shy. I'll approach them, ask them questions. You have to do that. Otherwise, if you say, Geshe Lhakdor, that's not your problem. Without hesitation, just like elephants, when they are scorched by the heat of the sun, without a second thought, they jump into the ocean to cool themselves. You have to start doing that. And then make it a habit to read at least. This is a very good question, Now, luckily, there are so many good books in English, in Tibetan, you can buy. So if you are not sure which book to buy, then ask somebody's advice. And don't need to buy a big book, smaller book, and then make it a point that you will at least read half a page every day or something like that. You will be surprised to see how much progress, how much knowledge you will get within a short time. Because until now you have not started moving. Now you have started moving. That's one. Number two, like when, for example, when we study, when we go to war, we need certain facilities. We need a gun or sword or something to eat, sleeping bag, things like that. This must be prepared because this will then inspire you. Like this cloth, why you wear this, this will inspire you, this will remind you that, okay, you have a responsibility, you have a task. Army has army uniform, monks have monks uniform, even the bearers, they have their uniform. The uniforms are there to tell you that, okay, you belong to this group doing this kind of job, that's all. So like that, if you are a student, make sure you have the needed good books. Make sure that you have the pen and pencil and dictionary and things like that. You neither have good pen nor have good dictionary. I want to study, but You have nothing, And then if your room is little bit spacious enough, then make a small area in the room. For a student, one chair, one table, and some dictionaries and something, which is inviting, which is really waiting there, saying, come, please sit at least few minutes, You want to run away, but the tables and chairs will tell you, come, beg, sit. You see? For the Buddhist practice also we say, nekang chedor chela, kusung thukji ten tramba, They'll remind you, they'll say, come, you see. So similarly, if you want to study Buddhism, meditate, if you have some space, then it will be useful to prepare a small meditation seat, Altar, almost all of you have altar. If you don't have an altar, then make sure that you at least have Buddha's image, a small text like Heart Sutra, something like that. You must have this. Many younger generations now don't do this, which is very bad, actually. Because when the gradually elderly people will go, then you will be like any modern people having nothing. Really, honestly speaking. So you need to start doing those things, which will create an environment for you. If there's a nice image of the Buddha, it will inspire you to do some prostration, to make some offering, something like that. So prepare, make a plan, put it in your schedule, and then check constantly. Any other questions? Yes?
Yesterday, Geshe Lhakdor mentioned very difficult to obtain the pressure lives.
Yeah.
So how should we encourage and stop such immolation?
Self-immolation.
By perspective of Buddhism?
Good question, but difficult question. Because even His Holiness cannot and could not say stop self-immolation. It's easy for us to show our concern and worry, but at the same time we cannot ignore their sacrifice. We cannot ignore the situation they are facing. Because they are living under such a difficult situation where there is no other way to express their problem, their difficulty. If you voice and say something again, you will be imprisoned, you will be tortured, you see. That's the communist system, you see. Whether they today call themselves communist or not, but they still practice the hardcore communist practice. So the communist system and practice is that you just blindly, stubbornly follow the one-party political system. If the one-party political system says north is east, you have to say east. South is west, you have to say west. They point toward the south and say, this is west, you have to say, yes sir, this is west. That's the situation, you see. Very difficult situation. So that's what they are doing. Otherwise, who will enjoy killing themselves, you see? Nobody wants to even prick a needle, you see. But they are under such a difficult situation that that's the last thing that they can do. And then look, it's easy for us to say that, oh, you Tibetans stop that. And some people even go to the extent of saying that, isn't this violence? Some people, some journalists, others came to ask this question to me. I was furious actually. I told them, don't talk about this, stupid way of dealing things in a luxurious fashion, Out of total hopelessness, desperation, people are sacrificing themselves. And then you are comfortable saying, is this violence, non-violence, Even if you are talking about violence and non-violence, the ordinary meaning of non-violence is, violence is not harming others. They are not harming. They are harming themselves, not harming others. Even when they have the courage to kill themselves, they are not killing others. Why don't you, applaud and praise this? Why is the international community not coming forward and making a loud, clear voice and support for this kind of sacrifice? You see? So therefore it's a very difficult situation. As I said, there's nothing else they can do. That's the problem. While of course we expect that nothing like that happens, we pray. Of course we're very sad, and we don't want this to continue. But how can you stop them? And this is basically saying, how can you? And His Holiness has very clearly said that the problem with the Chinese leadership is that they have mouth and no ear. They're saying, do this, do that. They give order, They want to be the biggest country, most powerful country. They give orders to not only Tibetans but to everybody. They bully, exploit everybody, and they don't listen to any, even human right. They say, human right, this international standard of human right is different, This is based on Western culture. Asian culture is different. So concept of human right should be different, They're not listening to anybody. So that's the problem. But because they have the population, with them you can do the business, so the Chinese leaders get red carpet. That's the tragedy of the modern world, That's the ethical value of the modern leaders. Everybody is worried about doing business. And of course, there are other problems also. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah.
Is taming of the mind same as training of mind?
Training, yeah. Training and taming, same, yeah. Taming the monkey mind, we call it. Takes one, too much. Thank you.